All right, everybody, welcome back. Sorry for the long break. We had a bit of a long tail end of that first section there, but we're on to that second group of matchups. We're not going to talk about it.
No.
We're gonna blow right past it. So again, we're on to that second group of matchups right now in this stream. We got Windstorm, Nemesis, but that's not the only one. CDAPS, what are the other games going on right now that are either on stream or games of interest that if you want to pull up the tournament page, you can look at?
Yeah, so on stream we got Aerial Arise versus Synthetic. That's over on 9ball Esports, and then on SFCL, San Francisco Challenger League, as we like to call it, but it's actually Solar Flare Contender League.
That's not their name.
That's Didn't Ask versus Slaughterhouse. So two good teams that are pretty mid-table right now. Slaughterhouse trying to bounce back from a disappointing outcome against Synthetic, who, on the flip side of that, had a pretty good time. They steamrolled 7-2 and are feeling quite good. But now Synthetic going against Aerial Arise. About 2 months ago, that would be a death sentence, but there's been a couple of roster changes on the side of Aerial Arise, so they're in this weird limbo state where they're just trying to stay afloat, having people just flow in and out, like we saw Wichita Wolves. That's what happened to them near like the mid-season of SCS Season 4, so, it pains my heart to see that, but, those players are onto a better place. No, they didn't die, they just have good offers on other teams that are a little bit more well-established, and the underage team of Aerial Arise did do their job and really opened a lot of doors for players such as Max and Kool-Aid and Gunners, who is on Gatekeepers right now. And surprise, surprise, Gatekeepers are the only undefeated team. They're 4-0 right now, cruising and looking pretty good. If they're able to beat Aggro, who definitely came in swinging after getting their swing spot, their inject spot coming out due to Survey Corps disbanding, have definitely been looking quite good. That game is going to be played off stream, unfortunately. We don't get to see the potential barn burner of that matchup, but instead we're going to be going for Windstorm versus Nemesis. Still a really good matchup, both of these teams in the upper half. Both teams are on the inside of looking in and looking ahead, as we see Nemesis is number 6 and Windstorm is in number 2. Both of these teams 1 loss apiece, sitting at 6 points, and definitely trying to punch their ticket and feel a lot more comfortable depending on the outcome.
Yeah, the teams Windstorm have played, they played Synthetic when they won, Akara, which they won, Aggro, which they won, and then they lost to Gatekeepers just now over on SFCL, just 1 match ago.
We're not talking about that game.
We're not talking about it. As for Nemesis, they've beaten some pretty good names. They beat Honor 7-4, Project Neo 8-6, but they lost to Gatekeepers, then 7-1 Aerial Arise. So they've had a pretty solid run in the tournament, standing up with a lot of teams, like PDHM, Windstorm. Pretty impressive so far. We are getting into the match. The map is Oregon, I do believe, so won't have to wait nearly as long as we did previously. Listen, we're
Oregon.
Just like the Windstorm Gatekeepers game, we're blown past it.
I never want to cast it anymore again.
It's, once a day it's fine, but if we get a second Oregon, that's when we'll start having problems. But hopefully it does not come to that. I would like to see some variety, but then again, who knows? I believe we got ours in chat, but we're not starting yet. I got kind of.
I wonder why. I wonder why, Carter. I wonder why we're not starting.
Please, come on. I set it up perfectly. We're probably checking to make sure we have the right settings, so we don't have an incident.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking.
Exactly.
Oh, there we go. There's the beautiful stinger. Windstorm versus Nemesis.
Hopefully, we do have the right settings.
Another over. Oh my gosh, our observer was very loud and just made me jump, but no, but I was gonna say a silver lining of Oregon, at least it is in utility meta Oregon, so it's in a similar vein of theme park that it's a lot more fun to watch. Sure, you're gonna see very similar bands. Are we on East Coast server? Oh no.
We are in fact.
Oh, we are in fact on East Coast servers. Wait. Woo! Oh. Did we?
Man, I don't know.
Check the pings real quick, observer man, Rigel.
Rigel's been observing long enough. I trust him.
Yeah.
What are the bands, by the way? Thatcher Ace. Oh, that's boring so far. But
yeah, they're all on like 40 ping. That's fine.
Oh, we vibed. Look, Joe's on 12.
Yeah, Joe lives in.
He's seeing through the fabric of reality.
Nah, Joe lives in Maryland.
That's on the East Coast.
Yeah, so if it's east, whatever. We're just gonna
Oh, we're pausing.
Yeah, we're gonna check it.
We literally paused right.
Yeah,
right.
I was about to say Joe was very very close to the east server, because I think they're like right on the edge between Maryland and Virginia. They're very close. That's why he's doing pretty, yeah. As
Exactly.
Bale said, a wise man. Joe lives inside the server room. He's directly hardwired into the
Yeah.
Ubisoft servers. You know, he has access to unimaginable powers.
Fortunately, with that unimaginable power, they were like, let's ban Thatcher. And that's what they did. I mean, the bans are pretty standard so far. Thatcher, Ace, Wamai. Could have seen a Hibana ban. They decided to opt for the Ace instead. Still very strong. And Mira being the final ban, pretty standard, all things considered. Wamai definitely going to be a bit harder to hold down positions like Attic because, you know, Jaeger, only guy that can deny projectiles anymore. So, but overall, again, fairly standard. This is a situation that teams have likely prepped for and something that they're not going to be unfamiliar with. And in fact, having Hibana in play on the side of, well, whatever attacking team, but right
Yeah,
now,
pause.
yeah,
I think we should rehost this indeed because there are West Coast players, you know, Central. Both teams are in agreement that it should be on Central. Yep, so we're gonna go ahead and unfortunately send it to a rehost. So you have to bear with our faces once again. Welcome back. You got the Carter smile. You got the that's the Carter smile.
Hold on. Oh, my desk is too low to the ground. I gotta like finagle. Hold on.
At least you have. It
There
seems
we
like
go.
you have. It seems like you have heating in your house. That's nice. At least I
that
have power,
door.
but my air conditioning is just kind of my
Those are qualified.
HVAC system is not fun.
Maybe it's, you know, I think since I live in Indiana, we're more prepped for the cold. Like it's not as big a deal. So the heating's actually pretty fine. In fact, if you go down to like the bottom of the stairwell where like the big AC is, actually pretty warm. It's pretty warm. So
Yeah.
all things considered, I'm doing fine in terms of weather. But we will be playing on. We'll not need to do a rehost. I think just Dewey being weird sometimes. Just being weird. But no, it's all good. But as I was saying earlier, back to the attacking team, you have Hibana in play. That could be huge. Ace, much more standard on Oregon, but with how powerful Hibana is, you know, on maps like Club, her versatility in getting both hatches and walls due to the pellet changes and how you can allocate how many pellets you want to use for a hatch or a wall. Having her in play on Oregon, that's going to be huge, even with Ace off the board.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like to praise the AK-12 on Ace as, oh my gosh, it's such a good weapon, but the Type 89 is nothing to scoff at. That thing still rips. That's what Shiko made his name out of, you know? High fire rate, hits like a truck. Sure, weapon ammo, a little bit questionable, but I mean, you can't have everything or else it'd be an overpowered weapon, and King George would change his name to Hibana is balanced. But with that, I mentioned earlier that we were going to see a little bit of a different non-utility dump meta on Oregon, but look at all the shields that Windstorm is bringing. It's making me worried. I think we're still going to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Thankfully, we don't have Umai in place. We don't have to worry about that. It's just utility denial in a different area instead of denying projectiles. You are soaking up explosive utility with the Goyo shields, the bubbles, and the deployable shield on Fico is for. Mikey doesn't have either of those. He's just denying drones right now. Very useful for his team. He'll rotate back to side. And the clear is starting out on the west side of the map. Both Redex and Boji making their way. Redex is holding a bullet hole peek to see if anybody is playing downstairs in the side of kitchen. But little does he know, all 5 members of the defense are all on site right now, just sitting, waiting for the attackers to start to make their move. Lackey will be the first line of defense against a push from Attic. Crusher and Twist will likely hold the bedroom wall. Twist obviously being more active in that approach. And so overall, this will give the attacking team a lot of ground to work with. And if they decide to play these holes well, could find an early kill based off a wayward defender not watching where he steps.
Yeah, it's going to be just who swings first, but for Darkin, it was him, and he got swung and shot at by Box. That's the first frag, and your Maestro, nonetheless, not a good step in the right direction for... That's a step in the wrong direction for Windstorm. Not looking too good. Crusher is aware that there's somebody down below. Red X is just getting red pings. He has intel from his teammates that, yes, I'm going to send an Ash Charge through the floor and get rid of these shields before they become an issue later on in the round. And it also seems like Red X potentially is going to be flanked by the Green Hall. That's Lackey's job. He's still on the roam. He sees the gun barrel, and the body of Red X is going to be able to drop him straight down. And even the man count up at 4-4, but the action is still rolling on. There's a lot of explosions, a lot of utility being dumped all over the place as the Nemesis attackers are doing their best to try to simplify the equation. Make sure that they don't have to worry about things such as a Vulcan shield exploding right next to you, especially when you're going for the plant that's happening right now.
Yeah, Joe's getting that. Boji, despite being the low HPs, holding the coverage stalwartly on the white stairs. Nobody crosses his path, so we can rotate down now that the plant's been put on the floor. Lackey's holding down at the bottom of Freezer stairs, but he hears the air jab. He doesn't want to push out, but even if he does, he'll get felled by Boji, who gets one up top. That's him taking down, spots the Jaeger, but Lackey comes away with it. Twist follows up one. Joe, the one who got the plant down, finds one on to Crusher. Now it's a 2v2, with the health favoring Nemesis, and the time just the same. Twist is right on the diffuser, only has 25 HP. He knows somebody's playing on top of that small tower. But with how little time is left, he knows this is a gunfight he's not going to win. It's Box to get one, and Joe to find the second on that. A double for him on the round. Getting the plant, pretty solid play from the Hibana, and a pretty solid first opening round for the attacking team of Nemesis.
Yeah, a really well-executed take coming out of Nemesis, where I thought there was still a lot more development to be taken in. You know, they had a little bit of map control. You know, they took out the player behind the bunk bed in that powerful corner. They got rid of shields, and then you had somebody on top white kind of holding flanks, and then all of a sudden in the top right of my screen, I'm like, oh, Joe's he's planning the diffuser. Interesting. That happened at 1 minute and 5 seconds. And considering Oregon is a map that you would say is definitively defender-sided, having a take and an execute occur at 1 minute is insanely good for Nemesis. And it was a successful take where the planter, in the form of Joe on the Hibana, was able to escape outside and play that powerful post-plant position of just on top of a roof where you can't shoot him. He has to lose that gunfight. You can't really win it. He has to lose it. It's over. He has the high ground, you know? It's just, was not a good place for Windstorm to be in. Sure, they got the pick down below. They refragged the Ash of Red X, who was applying a lot of pressure from down below. And it was a good read in by Lackey to have his roam extend down inside of Kitchen and to pick up that free kill. But it seems like the damage was already done with the breaching charges, getting rid of all of the shields and bulletproof utility, as well as the Maestro falling really early to a big window swing. This was kind of the perfect storm for the side of Nemesis's attack that allowed them to be insanely successful.
Now moving on to basement, Windstorm not opting to try dorms a second time. We have FICO on the mute and Twist on the Mozzie, indicating there will be some form of extension, being aided by Crusher on the Jaeger and Lackey on the Vigil, who's running all the way up to top floor. So nice to see, you know, a bit of a different strategy than how Oregon's played out. A lot of the same strats were kind of how we talked about on Cafe earlier, specifically in relation to Cocktail, holding down specific positions in and around the bomb site, and trying to weather the storm the attacking team is bringing out. Now, everyone rotating up and with the kind of utility they are bringing to support this roam. It's a different style of Oregon we haven't fully seen so far. The meta wasn't fully allowing, so nice to see a bit of a change. And speaking of changes, Nemesis's take is starting on the side of Big Tower this go-around. They've spotted the reinforcements at meeting. They'll use the Hibana pellets to start opening it up and pressure Lackey and Crusher, who are the ones playing inside of there. But Crusher's starting to peek up, and there are 3 members all on those Big Tower stairs, but he gets spooked by a drone. He'll shoot it, rotate back. And for the moment, Lackey and Crusher are just waiting for the attacking team to make a move and to make a mistake that they can capitalize on.
And considering last time around, Nemesis almost just took map control in the blink of an eye, this time it's coming a lot more. It's not coming as easy. There's already 1.5 minutes left, and they don't have really anything. They have some drone intel. Understand that, yes, there's a pretty wide roam being employed on the vertical side. You know, you got 2 people up inside of either Kitchen or inside of meeting, and they're going to try to nade one out, but it's a bank shot that does not connect onto Lackey, who's still standing strong and has the hatch drop into E-Box if he really feels too much pressure. Right now, he's just sitting here. He's twiddling his thumbs, waiting for anybody on Nemesis to peek him because he's comfortable taking those gunfights, and he also knows that the Nemesis attackers are going to have to push inside of pillars, and they're going to have to go through Darkin, who, sure, he died first last time, but with the Alda, indeed, is going to take a lot of health off of Joe, who is trying to be the entry frag for the Nemesis attack. You don't necessarily want your hard breach of a Hibana to do so, but with the attack stalling out, it's not looking that good.
The opening pick will go in the favor of the attack. That's Lackey, but he's already done his job. He's wasted so much time up top, but Redx and Jove able to found the entry. But two C4s fly over to try and take him down. It's Crusher with the 416 instead to find a kill. The Roni soon after. Neither C4 is connecting, but at least two members of the defense guns are certainly connecting as well. Joe will go to get the plan. Bale's the only one left for coverage. Means he has to do a lot, especially with another C4 flying over. Joe still manages to escape death, but not long for this world. Darken seals his fate towards the end of the round. And Windstorm, based off the fact that Nemesis simply did not know how to clear their extension up top inside a meeting, won a round easily off of how much time they wasted.
Yeah, that room it did exactly what it was designed to do. Make a traditional area that you kind of take for quote-unquote free. Meeting isn't typically the hardest thing to get control of, considering you can pinch it from main stairs as well as small tower, or pardon me, big tower. Just allowing that kind of E-box drop play from Lackey, if that was in the cards. If he really got pressured, his first instinct is to drop. He doesn't need to take the gunfights, because every single second that ticks off the clock is good. He's doing his job, and sure, if he stays alive, he can then contest pillars or just kind of be the first line of defense that's swinging aggressively, making sure that Nemesis can't really gather any traction over towards the bomb site, because, surprise, the bomb site's kind of the only map control that really quote-unquote matters, especially as you go towards the back half of the round, where you have to plant the diffuser. Sure, they eventually did kind of weasel their way inside a site, but it was a 4v2 situation. There were still nitro cells left alive on the side of the Windstorm defense, plus Darken had 81 bullets in an LMG that he could just pre-fire anything that he so desired. And that was really well executed by Windstorm. For the side of Nemesis, they really do need to focus on clearing that room, because I'm going to assume that eventually Windstorm are going to go back to that bomb site and do something very similar because of how successful it is. But it might come a little bit sooner than we think, especially if Windstorm look as shaky on their top floor defense as they did just a couple of minutes ago.
And going off that top floor defense, a lot of the big issues that Windstorm had, or a lot of the big issues that Nemesis were pointing out in their defense, was they did a big window take, and there was no pressure down below on the side of Windstorm to allow them to take advantage of the pre-made holes in the floor that ended up segmenting off the bomb site, allowing Nemesis to get a plan fairly early on for the round. The adjustment they've made, they've sent both Twist and Lackey down right at the forefront of small tower to attack the team, but then Nemesis, they've thought one step ahead as well. 3 members all pushing in from bedroom and armory hall to put pressure on the attacking team from the complete opposite side of the map they did last time. Because of that, Darken's not in a position to go for the impact trick. He'll get one, well, not the second as well. The X-Kairos on the other side of the wall, and Joe still has plenty to make work and cut open that wall to his heart's content. An excellent rotate by Nemesis to anticipate the changes that Windstorm are going to make. As a result, they have free map control and free site control once again, just on the opposite side of the map this time.
Yeah, right there, it seemed like Nemesis is playing chess while Windstorm's playing checkers. They're just playing whole different kind of games. Windstorm made the proper adjustment, but that's a micro flick onto the head of Joe. Really well placed shot by Crusher that will drop not only the diffuser, but potentially the only remaining hard breach, unless you count Maverick, but you're probably not going to be Maverick tricking over towards an execute. And Joe has been pretty strong on this side of Nemesis's attack up to this point. But persisting inside of Attic still is Crusher. He has a shield, he has an ADS, and he still has a nitro cell in his pocket that can deny the plant. And now they also, on the side of Nemesis, allowed Windstorm's roamers to slowly get back. Twist has made his return. Lackey's at the bottom of White Stairs, cutting off any flank potential, and could, even if he wanted to, go over towards main stairs if he wants to flank towards Master.
Unless the attackers still have pre-placed drones downstairs, Lackey's position is going to be an X factor in the mind of Nemesis, and even without that, let's just say Lackey's back on the site. Losing Joe, they've already stalled out quite a bit because of how quickly their entry into the site was stopped just by a nice shot from Crusher. Darken will add insult to injury, takes off the head of Red X, and now Lackey potentially on the flank would cause even more destruction with how more Nemesis will stall out and how more... I say that, but Bales finds Lackey, takes him down, takes out a second as well onto Darken, and quickly things have even 3-3 because that same utility of the floor holes made by the defense. Boji will have to rotate back out due to a failed gunfight with Twist, but Twist doesn't have to worry all that much. I say that, but he probably should have worried a bit more. Thankfully, Crusher's there to cover up the wounds made by the misplay of the defense. Box will push in, create some more. Now it's a 1v1. Crusher on 25 has to waste 10 seconds, but he's looking the wrong way, but Box doesn't take the gunfight. He's got to get the diffuser. He's deciding which one does he go for. He goes for the kill, and he lands the shot. Nemesis, a very quick recovery they managed to make thanks to some quick kills from Bales. It results in Box winning it out narrowly, going up 2-1.
That shoulder peek was dirty coming out of Box, and even though it didn't really feel like it, that was a 1v2 clutch coming out of the Maverick. Really well played indeed, and that'll be the second round in a row of the top floor bomb site that is definitively taken by Nemesis. Sure, it was a lot closer than last time they went for that attack. Last time it was a pretty dominating fashion post-plant that they just kind of sat on a roof and waited, that Windstorm wasn't really able to do a whole lot to defend against. This time, a lot closer, sure. I mean, maybe Twist should have won that gunfight against the Zofia of Boji, but the Roni gets a little bit unruly at that distance. You know, has a little bit of horizontal recoil. You slap a 1.5 on that, and it can take you along for a wild ride. Not as much as something like an SMG-12 or 11, but you can't really undersell how much that gun can kick on a horizontal front. And compared to an M762, man, that was a hard word to say.
You got it.
It's not a gunfight you necessarily want to take, and it all worked out into Nemesis's favor, as now they do find themselves at the lead, and we're going to see the top floor bomb site for a third time out of 4 rounds.
I mean, it's understandable, especially after last round. I'd go to it again. I mean, if Crusher's just on a bit more HP or looking left instead of right, so to speak, it would have worked out for Windstorm. And at the same time, Bales also had some really nice positioning. You can work off that. Based on how Windstorm were adjusting and how they accounted for the pushover by small tower, and now that they know how Nemesis play when they push over on the opposite side of the map, I think this is a pretty good chance to take dorms. If Nemesis end up pushing small tower, they can just go with the plan they were going with, which is once again Lackey and Twist both being over on that side of the map, but instead it's gonna be that same east side clear we saw previously. And with how close it came last time, I think Windstorm will be fairly confident in how they pull it off. And in fact, if Lackey's able to make a play and make a flank happen that unfortunately last round was not able to be successful, if he just flanks a big tower stairs, he could get a nice kill, but instead it's Crusher to nail the Zofia through the Maverick hole right 45 seconds in. And a second one as well.
Box just got absolutely demolished by that attempted peek. I guess it's just don't peek Crusher inside of Attic. He is the demon of that area. Do not challenge the king inside his domain, as he now extends his fragging up to 5 and 2. For the side of Nemesis, it's really interesting to see how this has been 3 completely different attacks coming out from 3 different rounds. First, they went very big window oriented, then they went very master oriented. Now it seems they're putting quite a bit of pressure over towards Attic, and the counter adjustment doesn't seem to work because you forgot to factor in the fact that Crusher's a demon and you don't want to peek him. Sure, the breach over towards the master side wall of Attic is now pinching him out. It's actually going to be the Jaeger to go down, but it's a trade tit for tat, 1-for-1, as the Nitro Cell will rip down Bales. And now there's another swing as Crusher gets a 4K, and then Lackey steals his ace.
It's fitting that in the previous Dorm's defense, the second go around, Crusher getting the opening pick really changed the pace for the defense. Well, on their defense, it brought it much more in their favor and kind of wiped away the loss that they had at the first go around. And him getting a quad on their third Dorm's defense, the second time in a row that he got the opening pick and then later was the biggest player in that round, redeems himself for losing that 1v1. Then on top of that, just makes a nice play for us all to watch. Now they'll go back down to basement. Joe will call a rehost. See if that gets confirmed. But overall, 2-2 right now. I mean, if you're Nemesis, you're not in a terrible spot. Even if you lose the next 2, 4-2 is pretty much where you want to be. It's not the worst thing on the planet. So at the very least, you got those 2 rounds. You can be happy. You can be happy with it. Now, if they go down to basement, you might lose, but they'll have to go to that tertiary bomb site at some point if they win basement. So really, this is Nemesis's game to get as many rounds as they can. And I wouldn't say it's their game to lose, but you get what I'm hitting at. What I'm hinting at. There we go.
Yeah, I think Crusher's the West Coast player on about like 80 to 90 ping, and then they just realize like, no, we're not gonna let him keep on doing that as he pops on for a 4K. Call a quick easy rehost, get everything situated out onto the central server. But right now, at a scoreline of 2-2, it's looking still pretty good for Nemesis. I would say that Oregon should go 4-2 split 99.9% of the times. If you're on the defensive side start and you're getting like a 3-3 or you're down 2-4, then it's probably not looking good for you. And for the side of Nemesis, already having 2 in their back pocket, these next 2 rounds are really low pressure. Anything that they pick up, you pick up a win downstairs, you're actually able to clear a roam properly, then maybe you get to secure that at least the 3-3, and then you can just keep on pushing forward, building momentum for the side swap, which I assume that they're also going to be a little bit more comfortable on the defensive side. But to that extent, Windstorm is, from the few matches that I've seen them on Oregon, they're a pretty competent team with attacking Oregon. So maybe we're going to see a double 3-3. I don't really know. I'm just kind of speaking out of my butt right now, trying to fill air. But I saw that eye roll there, Carter.
I didn't roll my eyes. That's cap. I did not roll my eyes. As an authority on myself, I would disagree with that. What I will say, I mean, you are correct. I would not be surprised if this is fairly close. And going into that basement attack, you said it, they can actually clear a roam. You might see something completely different, and that's the big obstacle they have to overcome. We do know the site's going to be basement. I assume we're not going to change it up. They might. But if they do go to basement, the big obstacle for Nemesis was it's not even that they failed to clear the roam. They just saw it and then didn't really do anything with it. They didn't push inside of attic and get repelled. They didn't even push laterally and get repelled. They opened up meeting wall and then just sat on big tower stairs for like a minute and a half. They're like, I guess we'll just push site now. Then they died. So if they actually try and clear the roam, it will be an improvement. Maybe you send Boji on the Maverick, or not Boji.
Boji was on Sophia.
There's another one that's BO. Is it Boxy?
Yeah, Box with 2 X's.
That's what it was. The letters in my head, they were confusing me. The BO I did not anticipate. But if they send Box into attic and actually try to open the hatch, because that attic hatch was reinforced last time, I think we might see something different. But honestly, just try and do something.
Just pinch him from, send one person from main and one person like Greenhall and pinch him following a drone. Because it was just a solo roam, and it's designed for as soon as he gets droned out and feels a little bit of pressure, he just takes a step forward and falls down the hatch. That's what he's supposed to do. But they never pushed him or made him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. They didn't apply any pressure of any kind.
They were just too, like, I don't know if they were just assuming, like, oh, he'll fall off regardless, or like as soon as we breach, they'll fall off. And it's like, oh, I didn't expect this outcome. He doubled down. He called my bluff. We
opened one Hibana hole, and that wasn't enough to intimidate him. It's like, well, yeah, you open it in the top right of the wall. The only way you can get an angle is if you like shove yourself against big tower stairs. But either way, even going that, if we end up not seeing basement, if we go to a tertiary site, that's still probably favors Nemesis, just because it's a third bomb site. But then again, if sort of the bane of Nemesis's existence is if it's meeting, or if it's roam setups in general, whether it's far extensions or vast extensions like we saw in basement, or if it's even the standard, say they go to meeting room kitchen, they do the 2-man extension up top in dorms, they've still showed trouble with that. Now it's not as complex as the meeting room extension they had, but if their big issue is roams, and we now had 2 rounds that they've lost because of it, and then also, well, I guess 1 main round they lost because of it. And then I don't know. You get what I'm saying. I'm just
you're spitballing.
Spitballing.
I was just kind of zoned out.
We are getting back in the game, though. We are getting back in the game.
You see, the entire time you were talking right there, I was just thinking of Boji on the Zofia saying like, I fear no room. But that thing, it's just a picture of meeting.
Just meeting.
It scares me. Yeah.
Yeah, meeting is not, it's been kind of the white whale.
They haven't gotten meeting
so
control in any round yet.
They have not.
But
we're going to basement, so if there's any time to do it, well, I guess if it'd be more of a time to do it if the bomb site was meeting. But okay, the feed is just imploding.
Yeah. Rehosts are.
I gotta refresh that one.
Yeah, I'll start talking. Guess what? It's basement.
There we go. Okay.
It's basement. This time, Lackey is not on his vigil that he was last time he was upstairs inside a meeting, so I guess pinpointing his precise location via a drone will be a lot easier, because vigil, can't be seen by drones, therefore making him an intel operator, right, Carter?
All right, man. Really, we're quoting that one?
Yeah.
That was an honest mistake. Just leave it be.
No, I'm saying I will say that I have seen some players that on like where points are off, they'll toggle on their visual scanner and see if their score moves to see if there's drones near them.
Listen, they just want it more.
Yeah, they just want it more. Shout out to Grant Anarchy, you know, old Homeland player,
Yeah.
old Wichita Wolves player.
He just wants it more.
Proud NCSU player now. You know, he's Grant is the GOAT. I love him. So yeah, but Nemesis versus Windstorm. Let's not get too far off topic, or else we're gonna delve down a really big rabbit hole that we won't be able to recover from. And surprise, surprise, there's an even bigger roam, a mute Mozzie roam inside a meeting.
It's not just a mute Mozzie roam. Lackey no longer on Vigil. He's on Jaeger, but he's still roaming up top. So the extension is much further than it was last time, though. You can see him in the highlight rotating down over on the side of Small Tower to join the rest of his team. No, actually, he's inside a kitchen. He rotated much quicker than even I anticipated. I thought Twitch was going to make that rotate with the C4. Got nervous for a second. We're a minute in. Nothing has happened so far. Nemesis just feeling out the defense from Windstorm, moving down these big tower stairs, and they're appearing to take a similar strategy to what they took last time. Nope, never mind. I say that. You can see Bales and Boji all moving aside. Exactly. They're going upstairs. They've taken out the mute jammer on that meeting room wall. That'll allow Joe and the Hibana to open it up. And now they're actually taking control inside of Attic, in a position to try and pressure on the defense if they eventually open up that hatch with some combination of Joe's 12 remaining ex-Kairos. They're in a much better position to deal with that roam than they were just a couple rounds ago.
Yeah, but now it comes to the point where you have all the tools set up to push Lackey out, but do you do it? Because there's two people on tower stairs, and this is the exact same position that we saw them just stall out incredibly on. For Nemesis, the meeting player is just so dangerous because your entire attack is hinging upon E-box pressure, and he controls E-box. You can't take pillars, you can't take E-box, you can't do anything with him still alive, left on the hatch. He's just gonna shoot you in your back as soon as you go towards your execute. And the 416 hurts. It's a gun. It shoots bullets. It hurts. You can't let him be alive. But now Lackey, after he did drop, I think he rotated all the way from main stairs, swung out of Gold Hall, and got dropped down accordingly. He was still revived, but you can't really revive off of a headshot, as Crusher will soon realize. But there's a refrag onto Red X by FICO.
Oh, another grenade sailed in, did a hell of a lot of damage to 3/4 of the members of the defense. C4 flies over, takes down Box, and knocks Joe off the plant. The second grenade from Box, blue twist up in the face. Darkin follows up for one, Lackey with a third, and now Bales has to try to pick up the pieces. Two are on low HP. He takes down the first. If he finds FICO, this will be an easy 1v1, but the time is low. Only 10 seconds left, and Diffuser a world away. He has the info on the Maestro. The pre-fire not able to land, and FICO is holding the crossfire. Good play from the remaining two members of Windstorm. They'll manage to win basement. Now they will have to go to either meeting room or dining room for their next site.
Wow, tertiary bomb site, crazy stuff. We actually get to see one being put on display. What?
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Once again, mating control just really scared Nemesis. They just didn't want to do it. Fortunately for them, Lackey did just kind of rotate. I think he went through Sandwich into main stairs, and then that's how he got into the position he was in. I don't think he did a cheeky little hatch drop because there was pillars control for the attackers. It would have been stronger for him to just sit on the hatch and wait, but I guess he probably knows something that I don't, considering it's Crusher, a respected name inside of T2, and now I guess T3. You know, they're Windstorm doing really well on a very solid team. So Crusher is an exponentially better player than me is what I'm trying to get at. I don't really want to say anything, but overall, the way Windstorm was able to just absorb the pressure of Nemesis and then throw it right back out on him. Sure, those nades were so close. They were so close to being lethal. That was a heartbreak. That could have been a quad nade, but it was the nitro cells that blew up just a little bit harder, stopped the plant, and then the bullets did the same with a well-timed flank inside, reclaiming pillars with Darkin of all people, you know, the loudest player left alive on that Windstorm roster. You know, Chunky Boy Maestro flunking his way through the hallway was still just sneaky enough because of the plethora of sounds being blasted into the earlobes and eardrums of all the attackers, as they were just hyper focused on getting that diffuser down because of the, you know, time constraint they were under. Well played, and Windstorm take a round that they definitely deserved.
seems to be a bit of a tempo change of this go around. Instead of the basements where they would look the roam dead in the face but then not take any action against it, quick entry by Boji or a quick rappel into Armory as well as Red X and Bales appears to show that they're taking this roam much more seriously than they did previously. Red X will open up that master bedroom wall, opening up a key angle for splitting the defensive roam in half. Crusher inside of Attic will now be split off and have an angle held against him to split him away from Lackey. But thankfully, both are in some fairly strong positions. Lackey can hold down his spot with the deployable shield right behind him, and Twist will rotate up, take and shoot Boji in the back before he has a chance to react. Now Nemesis, who looked so confident taking down the roam, have had a little bit of a complication thrown in their plans. Even though Crusher's on 65 HP and they can be confident in knowing where he is and the fact they damaged him a bit, losing Boji, who's been one of your most confident key entries so far in terms of gaining map control, him being gone is going to be something they're going to feel for quite a while. Crusher getting onto Bales. Darkin again. I was going to say, you know, there's still time to recover, but it appears they took the time they had left, and they're just trying to finish this round as soon as possible. Or at the very least, Windstorm is. Red X, he does have Diffuser, so it's not all terrible, but it's not great. It's not great at all.
Yeah, definitely not looking good. You never want to be staring down the barrel of a nearly full HP team. Crusher's the only one that's taken even a little bit of HP, and it's a 5v2. Sure, Box and Red X, you know, you have two good guns, two fast operators in the form of, you know, Ash and Maverick. So we could see something go in, but at this point, I would say it's unlikely, especially because FICO seems to understand that Box is going to push main stairs. Nemesis is kind of grasping at straws, and now it's a bait and switch as Box will get struck down by Twist. A really well-timed swing with the just feeding of intel of, yes, I hear his footsteps in main, please swing from Z, please save me, coming out of the bleeding mouth of FICO. Now with only 30 seconds left, Red X is not even able to get a single kill. Twist finishes off his 3K, I believe, with a flawless round as Windstorm post-rehost, looking even stronger.
At the very least, Nemesis seemed to be much more confident in taking down the roam, but that flank that various members of Windstorm had tried to pull off, Lackey being the name that comes to mind on one of their dorm's defenses, never really came to fruition, but finally, when all the confidence and all the attention from Nemesis was focused entirely on taking down the two members of Windstorm inside of master bedroom or inside of dorms and attic, there's Twist on the vigil, just sprinting up Armory stairs, taking down Boji and running away before they even have a chance to react. So on the one hand, you had Nemesis fixing the mistake they had before, not letting themselves get complacent and sit on their hands and not do anything with the extension. But on the other hand, they didn't cover all their bases and they didn't cover their flanks. And as a result, what could have been a great adaptation for their previous failings just resulted in more of the same for Nemesis.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's still the expected 4-2 split, so nothing on Nemesis. But considering how they started off so hot, you know, you had the hope in your heart, and especially they probably did too, that, oh, we can get a 3-3 split and we can just be sitting pretty going on their defensive side. But now they're under a little bit of pressure, and Windstorm is riding the momentum and just needs to pick up 2 rounds and secure at least overtime. And if no, they win this round right here, this is an insanely pivotal round for Nemesis, probably the most important that they've played up to this point, where if you drop this round, you really have your backs against the wall.
You can also see Nemesis's at least different mindset on the defense, whereas, you know, Windstorm were very, very quick to go for a roam and an extension, and Nemesis were very, very timid when it came to countering it. Nemesis taking that same strat to their defense. They don't want to go for an extension. Maybe they find it too risky. Maybe they're not comfortable, but either way, they put all their chips and all their pieces down on the bomb site itself, though there is one playing on Big Tower Stairs, playing a bit forward, either to catch some drones and fire some shots, maybe scare off the attacking team. You can see 2 more flying in after him. But beyond that one lone player, for the most part, everyone else is back on the bomb site. I keep thinking that Boji's going to rotate back, but kind of pulling a Stu's world right now, you know, just sitting on the stairs, waiting to rotate back. There we go. He'll pull back. Listen,
you gave me a flash to the back.
Okay.
Oh man.
Here's the thing, right? Like, Jazz was using that term like, oh, Stu, you know, you play on Big Tower Stairs and you die. When I casted Stu, that usually worked. So that had a positive connotation for me.
No, I just remember every single round JJ killed him. 4 rounds in a row. And then JJ also got a 3K playing the exact same position and said, "I'll charge you $20 for a tutorial." That was really funny. That was really funny.
funny.
But hey, wow, Windstorm's actually taking meeting control. That's crazy.
Yeah, you'd hope Nemesis were to learn that, but then again, there's nobody to stand in Windstorm's way in terms of gaining this meeting control. But at the same time, they're also waiting and, anticipating a hatch drop, just waiting eagerly, but they haven't taken pillars or really any kind of map control, all things considered. And there's one on Big Tower stairs, and a C4 will fly out. Unfortunately, that will still remain in the favor of the attacking team. But if FICO's not able to find a pick or any room to start to make a play down these stairs, the longer Windstorm wait to make that play down the hatch drop, the less time they'll have to go for an execute, and the more likely it is the Nemesis will just start raining shots into E-Box, and they'll be taken out one by one. Lackey will drop, and there's the first, the second, as well as Red X follows after. It's almost like what I said came to fruition, and Bales with the third makes it seem very much so. Crusher the fourth to fall inside of Freezer and Twist. Stuck alone inside of Bunker and Elbow. The only bit of map control still in the favor of the attacking team. He's cut through all the same. It's a flawless round for Nemesis to start out their defense.
Yeah, they turned E-Box into a meat grinder, and my gosh, that reminded me of the meat grinder from Kingsman 2. Just wasn't good. There was a lot of bodies that just got absolutely demolished inside of that area. Really well played by Nemesis to really understand that the entire attack was so hinging upon FICO getting a first pick over towards the back tower stairs. And then they just didn't peek. They didn't give him anything. They gave him no opening because they played so passive and they were so well kind of patient and I don't necessarily want to say trained because that makes them sound like dogs, but it was really well played. That was the right level of aggression where their position was still known. You knew that they were stuck in the close blue door as well as deep pillars, and there's just nothing you can do about it. You had to use utility, you had to burn away, try to bank a nade in there, but everybody on Windstorm's attack was so hyper focused on just waiting for FICO to get one kill and then explode into sight. But then it just never happened, and everything fell apart.
10 seconds to go.
Nemesis moving up top for the next defense.
5 seconds.
Hopefully Windstorm's strategy is not so contingent upon one of their members getting an opening pick, especially when that opening pick is coming, minute 45 seconds left in the round. If they are going for that style of play, big window take will likely be in the cards, but I imagine based off the lineup, we'll be seeing something more standard. Crusher on the Buck does intrigue me, though. I don't know if that's just a comfort pick for him, or if he just likes the soft destruction more. If on specifically dorms, he wants to go for some vertical soft destruction, open up holes underneath dorms. But losing out on those nades, even though you have a second pair on a Twist, I don't know, that can be rough sometimes if you're missing that second set. I mean, you only have the Jaeger. That's the only, in terms of projectiles, you have to waste. And with only a couple Malusis and a deployable shield, Ash and Zofia both in play, you could start throwing some nades on in, driving out Box from his position, or driving out really anybody on the defense that's sitting and holding a position inside the site. But instead, you opt to bring the Buck. I assume we'll see that vertical soft destruction. But if we don't, I'm going to be questioning that pick and wondering what the strat was going into it if they're skimping out on that utility.
Yeah, I mean, we saw just simply having an Ash on the side of Nemesis did perfectly enough of vertical pressure from downstairs inside a kitchen that you don't necessarily need the Buck. But I mean, Crusher is very prolific with his Canadian brother. He resides in Montreal, and Buck is Canadian, so that makes a whole lot of sense. He's gonna go ahead and start blasting away, making sure that, I believe, the Kaid Claw over towards, the Kaid Claw on the attic wall will be destroyed out. And actually, no, never mind, I'm completely wrong. That was a Maverick trick that he opened, and I'm reading too far into things. With only a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, Darkin on the other side is getting the pinch maneuver activated. He's making sure Pillars Dip is a place that Box can no longer reside in for free. He's gonna have to fall back to a shield. And now with attic control firmly into the hands of the attackers, they can start going for their execute as they make their way. But they're gonna have to worry about Boji down below with this nitro cell.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, that's the issue. Once again, Windstorm seem to be falling into the trappings of Nemesis, or I guess at the very least for the first time, they're falling into the trappings of Nemesis. They're not worried about the roam, and there's no concentrated setup like they were bringing out against the now defensive team. but they have that one lone defender with the C4, and if either FICO or Darkin makes one wrong step into the bomb site, it'll be the end for them. So the Lackey and Twist, the latter of which with the diffuser, they're making their play inside of Attic, so they might not be as susceptible. They are susceptible to bullets, though. Box holding that long angle, paints the wall behind Twist with red, and now it's a 4v5. The two members of Nemesis are both, well, around 50 HP, so it's not unwinnable for Windstorm. Lackey's all by himself, doesn't have much in the way of manpower for support, and Box just lands that pre-fire, the same exact position, getting a kill in the same exact spot. Bales with the crossfire, holding up the third. Darkin will finally get one, but Bales is right there for the refrag soon after. Windstorm just collapsed in the final 30 seconds of that round. Nemesis looked impenetrable on their defenses so far. At the very least, Windstorm don't have an answer for what they're bringing out.
Yeah, it just feels like it's the same thing over and over again for Windstorm, where they look good, they get every piece in together, then they're just waiting for their opening, but it's just not coming through. Nemesis aren't peaking. They're not losing gunfights, and they just know that they're in the powerful position that they don't need to peak. The time is working in their favor. Windstorm are the team that really feel the pressure, and eventually they're just having to flood in right into the loving arms of every single player on Nemesis. They're playing these defenses pretty much perfectly. They're denying just enough. They have safe fall-offs, and they still have shields and utility left inside his sight. I mean, I don't think Average Joe, or pardon me, Just Joe, he rebranded, but I don't think Joe used a single smoke canister. He was just kind of sitting there and could have denied plant. There was still Nitro Cell down below with Boji. I think the Kaid of Bales also still had one in pocket in case the plant somehow got off. But so far, Nemesis just seemed like they have a new lease on life and are feeling so comfortable, and are now going for a perfect site rotation as they go to their tertiary bomb site of Meeting Kitchen.
Now that we'll likely see that more concentrated extension up top, purely because, you know, there's not, on Meeting Room and Kitchen, there's not a lot of places that, you know, 4 or 5 members of the defense can all sit comfortably on the site, so it's almost a necessity that you send 1 or 2 upstairs. You can see all the utility being dedicated, Mute Jammer, some reinforcements, and Malusi as well. Now I'm curious if Windstorm will be able to deal with this extension, or if it's going to be too much for them. You know, we can chalk up the first defense. 5 were on site. They just made the classic mistake that a lot of teams make. They got overconfident. They thought FICO would be able to get a kill on those big tower stairs, and when he didn't, they didn't really have a backup plan. Then, the next round, they probably just didn't have intel on Boji, or they just weren't very cognizant of his position, or very weary of where he could be playing, so they forgot that. But now, aside from those Mute Jammers, they generally know where the defense is extending. And the moment they figure out the site's kitchen, well, there's one place they can be extending, and you probably know there's at least 2 of them playing up top. But if they fail to tackle this as well, that's basically all 3 of the major ways you defend a bomb site. Anchor, one guy, you know, running around the map causing chaos, and then a concentrated extension. Lackey getting the opening pick, or Lackey suffering the opening pick. Bales getting that one with a C4 from below. Looking like we might see a third failure if Windstorm aren't able to pick up the pieces.
Especially when Box is going to swing out, drop off Crusher. Now it's just Twist, Darkin, and FICO against the world of Nemesis. They still have a little bit of roam presence here, but now Boji will fall at the hands of a nade. That's quite literal refrag coming through. But still, the roam is persisting. Red X does have a clean drop if he wants to cross over towards the hatch, and now that he's been droned out and was not able to destroy it, it's kind of just sitting here in purgatory until eventually they swing. I think he might have dropped in a similar fashion to what just happened to Box, and yep, they're all playing on site because they know they have the man advantage, and there's only about half time left. There's a little bit of vertical destruction that can be brought through by FICO, but you lost your buck. That was your main soft breacher, who is going to remain silent for the entirety of the round because he was put 6 feet under. You know, you can't shoot your skeleton key from the grave, as I'm sure Crusher is a little bit upset about, but I guess breaching charges and breaching rounds from FICO will have to suffice, and you probably won't be able to apply as much vertical pressure as you so desired if you're in the shoes of Windstorm.
And speaking of vertical pressure, Nemesis still have one tool in their arsenal for vertical pressure. That's the C4 of Box. A couple have rung out. One got a kill, but the other, unfortunately, from Joe was not as lucky. But with Box still having that C4 in his pocket, if he opts just to save it for the post plant, it'll likely be effective. But honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he manages to scare off the attack up top. But 30 seconds left, he knows he just has to wait. Doesn't have to use it too early. Meanwhile, Darkin on the bottom of White Stairs, hoping that someone from Nemesis doesn't read into his position and gives him a free pick. But once again, to reiterate, the time being so low, defense knows they just have to sit in their positions. Nobody's probably going to take this gunfight with Dark, and now the flash is going out means they will continue to be deterred. But thankfully, the C4 from Box goes and whiffs. Twist getting the plant down isn't spotted by the defense. This might just be the opening they need. He'll get it and run away. A kill on the way out as well. Bales finds the head of Twist. He's refragged and punished for his kill onto one of the members of Nemesis, and the final two members are on reduced HP. Both members of Windstorm at full health, and the time is now on their side because Twist managed to sneak in under the nose of the defense. The defense is lacking on intel as well. They have a Z-ping indicating the general position of one of them, and he'll take a fair bit of damage, but down to 25. But he's still wasting so much time. Red X looking the complete wrong way. He gets down by Bales, but Fight goes up top. He can just wait out the time all he wants. 2 seconds left before the clock is against the defense entirely, and there we go. You could stick it if he wanted to, but he's a dead man either way. And even if he lives, it's a round for Windstorm. First one on this attacking half for them.
He hit him with the 360 MW2 trick shot right here. I thought he was gonna knife him, but he just shot him on the way down.
He could have gone for the style if he wanted.
He could have.
He really could have.
Yeah, the time was done. It was a done round. The fat lady was definitely hitting her highest note in her repertoire, in her vocal range. You know, she was definitely singing, and that round will go into the hand of Windstorm, who denied the perfect site rotation. And now, if everything kind of goes the same way, if Windstorm's adjustments, as now they've seen all of the bomb sites of Nemesis, are still not enough to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, and they win the tertiary bomb site again, you know, we'll get overtime. That's the expected double 4-2 split that we come to expect on Oregon. But there's still just the opening and the potential for Windstorm to, like I just mentioned, have their adjustments really shine through. Understand that, hey, downstairs, everything fell apart because FICO didn't get an opening. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but it was more so to the praises of Nemesis not giving him one. They never peeked him. They made sure that their presence was felt over towards pillars, but couldn't really do anything with it. Because just because you know somebody's there doesn't mean you can really act on that intel. As soon as he would have walked down the stairs, the sound cues of the barbed wire or just general footsteps would have been just enough for both members of the Nemesis defense, one over towards the blue door and the other one on pillar, to just swing out and establish a really nice crossfire that, I don't care how good of a player you are, you can't shoot in 2 places at once. That's kind of how the cookie crumbles, and it's unfortunate for FICO, as he would have loved to just be the Ash spearhead that I know he wanted to, and just run in and shoot people, because the R4C shoots really fast and is fun to use, but it just wasn't in the cards. For Windstorm's adjustment, they either need to establish some pressure over towards maybe Freezer and make it so the Pillars player is just really locked into a certain corner, maybe do a full blue take, maybe just kind of do anything but stack 4 people up on the E-box hatch.
Yeah, how they deal with, if they want to go with an E-box hatch drop again, how they either deal with that plan or how they deal with the Pillars pressure being brought out by the defense will be the indicator for how this round will go for them. Crusher has switched to the Sledge, no longer on the Buck, and that could be huge if they're opting to go for that, because one of the big things they lacked was, you know, full pressure on Pillars. As you said, FICO is hoping to be that tip of the spear, be that guy that gets the opening pick and allows his team to get momentum in the round. But if the defense is playing passive and they're not going to give you that gunfight, you can't really do your job. With Crusher rotating onto the Sledge, they have an opportunity to take the player out in that position without having to physically peek and take a gunfight. Sure, you have to expose yourself, but with that extra set of frag grenades, you allow Twist to play his position inside of Elbow once again. He's on low HP as well, so if he ends up dying, that extra set would be very useful. If that's what they end up going for, having that extra, you know, bit of utility redundancy doesn't really exist for frag grenades, and it can help you out quite a bit. Fortunately, the first one goes in and whiffs, but they have 3 more. Plenty of time to correct for that.
Yeah, and you also got a Goyo shield, which was the main way that Red X felt insanely safe to play on that position. And just like that, he had to rotate off, leaving just Boji over towards Pillars, and he's also going to fall off. That is the opening that FICO needs, but does he know that the door has been opened, just allowing him to kick it down? He's going to have to drone it and find out, which I'm sure he will now confirm that, oh, wow, surprise, Pillars is free. I need to take this map control and allow my teams to drop the E-box hatch, because once about 50 seconds hits, if you're not really starting to go towards your execute, and there's still, what, 3 nitro cells and 2 gas canisters left alive on the side of Nemesis's utility, it's not looking that good with the time denial and physical plant denial that they can go for.
Thankfully, the attacking team, Pillars has been vacated. Ox is taking his position inside of Freezer. A fragment will sail on in, and his fate. Crusher puts a bullet in the second one of Bales. The 2B's falling. There's only one left. Boji's got a C4, and unfortunately, whiffs as well. Joe will find one kill. Joe finds a second. And that might be what Nemesis need to start making it, mounting a comeback. But no, Crusher and Lackey, they put a stop on that. They put the kibosh on that situation and moved to match point. They managed to make the adjustment, take the frag grenades, clear out Pillars. And at that point, they just had to work the plan that they had planned out. Now they're on match point because of it.
You know, that's just the strength of Windstorm and why a lot of people love to praise them. And that's overall just when you get to the T2 level and you have that experience, the biggest thing that separates T3 from T2 is your adaptability and your micro adjustments on the fly. And that's exactly what Windstorm just put on to display. Absolutely perfectly. They understood exactly why they failed last time around on this basement bomb site. Then they fixed it, and then they were insanely successful. Now they're on match point. They just need a single round where now they'll get a chance to show the micro adjustments once again. Will they have enough of a different kind of take, a different style, a different twist onto their top floor attack that will make Nemesis crumble down?
This is now the only site that on the attack Windstorm have not won. One kitchen and basement, so getting 3 in a row would be a poetic way to end it out. We'll just have to see how they end up doing it. Crusher will stick the sledge once again. I think that's a good pick, you know. See, it's a very good weapon, but those frag grenades definitely, or that extra set of frag grenades, demonstrated its usefulness in the round prior, and if they want to try and circumvent similar difficulties, going about it in the same method with such a very good operator that Sledge is, that's the way you want to do it. But their other big problem last time was not just utility, it was getting a handle on Boji, who was the lone roamer downstairs, who ended up getting a C4 kill, or at the very least, stopping the attacking team from getting all the momentum they wanted inside of Master Bedroom. If Windstorm make the adaptation and actually try and pinch Boji and Red X, who's now also on the roam, so that's more bodies or more drones they'll have to dedicate to finding both of these defenders. But either way, if they manage to do that, and get one of them on the entry and make the other rotate back to site, they're already on track to not only make the successful adjustment, but to transition it into a round victory, just like they did last round.
Yeah, but the main thing about that is that they can't spend too much time on it.
True.
Or else they're going to find themselves just having to flood into site like they did last time. And Bales has demonstrated that he's almost Mac-like with his skill on the AUG, on the Kaid. So, there's still just so much utility. I think Nemesis has brought at least 3 C4s every single defensive round. You know, they aren't always lethal, but just having that extra threat and that plant denial is always warmly welcomed into the side of the defensive front. Because now, they're going to remove the Kaid Claw, I think, but Red X being inside a classroom, his position might not be known. It also makes sure that Bales feels a lot more comfortable just playing on the wall. And Fico's going to have to go through one extra layer of defense in order to properly get that Electro Claw removed off of the game's breach and allow an access way in towards site if the execute comes in from that master side. Darkin definitely wants to breach. You know, that's what hard breachers want to do. They want to use their utility and feel useful to their team. But more so than that, I think the entries really need to come alive. There hasn't been a whole lot of ground gained by the Windstorm attack, and the time is slowly ticking away.
All right, as we say that, clearly Windstorm were aware of the clock. Lackey gets a kill on Boji at exactly 1:15 or so, and that was the big player from the previous round who's on the roam. But he's joined by Red X, who is not showing any inclination to start rotating back. If they attack it overconfident and they don't cover all their bases, he could easily make a similar play. Just instead of a C4, he might rotate up Armory Stairs and shoot one in the back. Bales with the C4 makes a play of his own. Crusher falls. That was the big impact player I mentioned last round with the frag grenades. Taken off the board, refrag obtained, and Lackey on low HP means Windstorm have a bit of a hurdle to overcome, making their execute into the site, seemingly from the attic and eastern side of the map. And with Red X off the board, if one manages to be found, he could make a big play, but Lackey finds the head of Bales, that great player on the Cade, and Box holding his standard position on the west side of dorms, lands a C4 kill onto the Zofia on rappel. Now Twist knows the Valkyrie's back there. He'll just run on in, headstrong, not worried at all about what the defense could bring against him. But what do you know? Red X has been forgotten down below, and with the holes made in the floor, he spots one, spots a second, lands a lot of shots onto Fico, and he's the only one left. 25 HP, out of ammo in the R4C, and out of time as well. Nemesis, great adaptation. to Windstorm's adaptation. Just one more round will land us square in overtime.
That was a disgusting floor hole opened up by Nemesis. I hadn't seen that. He was downstairs in Z. That is a deep angle that gets like just the headshot of the plant and towards default. That as soon as, at first I thought Joe missed his smoke, but I think it was more so just covering off anything else that allowed kind of, if he was planning a little bit deeper or anywhere that the floor hole couldn't cover, that was covered by the smoke. And then you had Red X still alive inside of Z that could deny that very deep tuck corner, which is really well played by Nemesis, who now do find themselves potentially pushing towards overtime. They're going to have to get over the hurdle that was a very oppressive Windstorm attack after the counter adjustments on
Attackers
basement.
need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Yeah, that was Crusher, who was definitely the biggest player, not only in terms of utility, driving Boji, Red X, and the majority of the defense out from pillars, but also making his own entry down through Freezer, getting a kill with his last nade, and then also landing another shot onto, I think it was, Box was the first kill, landing a shot onto another player inside of Laundry. So that last minute rotation was huge for them last time, but now is the question, as Nemesis generally have seemed to be one step ahead of Windstorm when it comes to adjustments, at least in the aggregate. A couple rounds ago, not nearly the same. That first basement defense where they ended up faltering with that Crusher play. They weren't able to stay one step ahead, but that last round was a return to form where Windstorm, they made the adjustment they should have, but Nemesis made an adjustment in turn to counter what they anticipated coming out from Windstorm. If they do the same this time, I would not be surprised if we see overtime. But given their setup, not a lot of adjustments you can make, save for trying to get an opening pick, which is what Red X has been trying to do this whole time, and has been unsuccessful on those big tower stairs. So right now, at least in theory, in my mind, this is favoring Windstorm going into this, just based off basement doesn't exactly facilitate a lot of variations if you're just sitting on the bomb site, which is how Nemesis like to play.
Huh. Did they just fake a blue hold? Because they don't have the Goyo anymore, so they have 2 less shields. There's not a shield over towards the blue door. There is still... Oh, so it's thrown back. I like this setup. This is another adjustment coming out of Nemesis.
That freezer angle.
Exactly. Huh. Another really good adjustment coming out of Nemesis. Will it be enough, however, if Windstorm probably will eventually read into it, being like, oh, there's significantly less shields. That's interesting. They're probably gonna be playing different angles, you know. It's kind of just the exact same setup, but pulled back. You're not fully extending into blue. You're just gonna kind of be over towards that back side of the old Mira closet, as a lot of people like to call it, because if you ever played old Oregon, you know, everybody and their mother would run a Mira in that, and it made it very hard to take downstairs. The pillars will still be on the docket for the Windstorm attackers to eventually take. It'll probably be significantly easier than they've kind of felt in the past. The first Toxic Babe canister running through, and Red X no longer on the blue door, but instead inside of tarps, trying to deny the hatch drop from the opened up angle that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily expect. Now that he has been droned out, his position confirmed, it kind of gives the go-ahead for FICO to start pushing out the lonesome Malusi of Boji inside of pillar. He's now being swarmed by 2 people, but he's still going to win one. No, he actually doesn't. Boji falling here, but on the other side, Lackey dies at the hands of Box. The deep angle in from Freezer door will deny that first initial pressure, and it's a 1-for-1 trade ahead of the execute.
And that was risky because Boji decided to remain in that position even with the frag grenade sailing on in and blowing up directly to his right. So that could have been worrisome for the attacking team. But the recovery, despite the refrag, was huge and allowed them to still get that pillar's control. But Box gets revenge for his death previously. It was Crusher to throw a nade on over and kill the Valkyrie, but this time a C4 hails back in turn and blows Crusher sky high. Twist is getting the plant down. He doesn't care about this, but Red X just prones around the corner, definitely unanticipated by the attacking team. Lands the headshot onto Twist. FICO will try to pick up the pieces, takes down Bales, and it's left up to Darkin to get the plant. And FICO, the only one on coverage. The Hibana will go for the kills, but Red X gets both of those. Nemesis will, in fact, be going to overtime. Because while Windstorm, they managed to get that pillar's control, they just did not account for good old Red X hitting that control key and slithering around the corner, killing their planter.
That was absolutely huge by Red X. That's 2 rounds in a row that he's single-handedly changed the outcome by denying plant with a little bit of cheeky play. First was a floor hole, and second it was evading the Maverick holes. You know, a lot of people wouldn't really expect to. It's like, okay, they have single wall just completely Swiss cheese, so I can't really swing and feel safe. Oh wait, let me just prone, kill the planner, and then do a hit and run, essentially. Just tuck tail, find yourself back in a safe corner, and live to fight another day, knowing that diffuser's down inside of sight. And that was sort of the last-ditch effort for Windstorm, who ended up losing the round, and now find themselves once again on the attack in overtime, going downstairs.
Once again, Crusher's opting to go for that fuck. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think they thought it was going to be upstairs, 100%.
You know, I think that's certainly a possibility. Buck much more useful for upstairs. But what that means is, you know, Crusher making a play inside of Freezer aside, that's more based on, you know, individual skill than utility, because well, I say that as the two biggest things from both his pushes there was a nade kill the first time and a C4 kill the second, but still what I'm saying is
5 seconds to go.
overall, the fact that Buck does not have nades means that a lot of what Windstorm was going for with their adjustments in the second and third time they attacked basement is no longer possible. You can throw in some flash grenades, that's true, and then combine that with a push with FICO down big tower stairs, but it's not nearly effective as a nade, which the first round successfully pushed out all 3. The second round pushed out 2, and Boju was trapped in a corner, which you still managed to go 1 for 1. So overall, the job was done. But if they anticipated going upstairs and Nemesis managed to fake them out in that way, that could be the biggest thing going for them. But Lackey's also managed to sneak up, taking a page out of Red X's book, pushing up through elbow, spots the deployable shield, manages to destroy it with the lifeline. With that hole still open, this could be a huge play from him. Darkin will get the opening pick. Despite Laggy's presence, he finds the head of Red X, the man who did the most for Nemesis the past couple rounds. Boji equalizes, punishes FICO for getting aggressive, and Lackey punishes Joe in turn for thinking that the smoke could peek so aggressively on that elbow angle. Only a minute in, and it's already a 4v3. A concussion grenade will signal that there's one around the corner. The C4 flies out, finds a whole lot of nothing. Lackey picks up one more, and it's looking like a quick entry into the site just might be the end of Nemesis.
Yeah, it's a 4v2 situation. Lackey's just knocking on the door, but he's going to finally decide to enter on in. But now with Boji swinging like an absolute madman, he's going to drop Twist into the DB&O state. We'll probably finish him off. But now Box swinging out will be punished for his over-aggression as Lackey will pick up his 3rd kill, and Crusher will find the last one. Windstorm, another counter adjustment of just saying, hey, we haven't rushed yet. Let's rush. Works out perfectly, and they are finally able to reclaim the lead. They're on overtime match point, going onto their defensive side with, after a double 4-2 split, you have to say Oregon definitely leaning more towards the side of the defense. Puts them in a really great spot to push forward and potentially take this map right here.
You want to look back on their record on dorms, they did lose it twice on the defense. They played it 3 times. They won it the most recent time, but they do not have the best record overall between these two teams. It was Nemesis to be more dominant on the attacking half. They did get a plant once on a big window take, then on transitioning more towards master bedroom, they just killed everybody, and that was how that play was made that round. So at least in terms of recency,
Attackers need to locate and
Windstorm have won it the most
bombs if they
recently,
can.
but it's not looking the best for their chances if on two very different takes, Nemesis managed to get the edge over them, albeit the second one at a pretty close margin. So actually, guys, with that in mind, as I did just remember that it was a 1v1 at the very end of that second go-around, this is still fairly even for Windstorm. I mean, a lot of it came down to whether or not Crusher managed to get that opening pick. The second round, he landed one on the master bedroom. And then the second round, or the third go-around, he got a quad kill. So he was clearly the biggest player in that round. So with that in mind, you know, I just threw a lot of information at you, so I apologize for that one. But it seems to be the biggest indicator is not just whether or not Crusher get the opening pick, but whether or not Windstorm get the opening pick and set the pace for the round. If that's the case, they've either come close or won the round outright. But if Nemesis started off strong and either get an opening pick or flush the roamers out from their positions, namely Crusher right now, that's the one we're looking at, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes their way as well.
Yeah, overall, the way Windstorm have defended has been really kind of in your face to a certain extent with fall off set up. But Nemesis haven't really forced them to fall off and instead just hit site really hard. as the rounds progressed, Windstorm really has figured out exactly how Nemesis wants to play, especially on the attacking front. They won their final 3 defenses, but it's been a long time since that happened, and now Red X going down to about 25 HP definitely did not expect the Malusi of Darkin to be sitting inside a green hall, and is now just about 1 shot from any gun in the game from death. And Red X has been your main entry. He's been the one really setting things on fire. He's been the one opening up anything that you want to push towards, and if he falls early, it's not looking good for Nemesis.
At this point, he doesn't even have to fall early. He just has to continue being scared of pushing forward inside of Kitchen as he is right now, because he's on low HP, and if he takes any gunfight, as you said, any gun in the game could probably be the end of him. Nemesis are going for that big window take. You can obviously tell because Box and Joe are sitting outside big window. There's 2 down below, and then you also have Red X inside of Kitchen. That's all the hallmarks of a big window take right there. But they have completely fumbled. I think I just punched my mic. They've completely fumbled on taking out the roam, and now Crusher, not on that roam, since he's rotated back up, finally used those floor holes that have been time and time again used against Windstorm to their advantage. Takes the head off Red X, but thankfully Boji lands a shot through the wall onto Crusher, and that's going to allow Joe to get the plant down, but it's a team kill by Box onto Bales, and a double C4 from Twist, and it's all over. Darkin takes down Boji, and how quickly it fell and crumbled in the hands of Nemesis, as Windstorm just made a couple moves, let Nemesis get in their own heads to end this 8-6.
Wow.
What the hell just happened?
I don't know.
What was that? What was that?
I'm
what are we doing here?
I don't know. My hands are on top of my head right now. I'm trying to unpack what just happened. I witnessed a C4 get 2 people.
Do you think
somebody almost get knifed? A panic hip fire. Just.
Do you think the team kill hurt or helped Nemesis? How do you think? How do you think that helped?
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it hurt him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think that was a fair.
Checks out. I get that.
Yeah. Welp.
It was not that hard of a question.
No, it wasn't. I was just trying to dance around with it a little bit because, you know,
All right.
we like to have fun. But at the end of the day, Nemesis did really well to go up against such a high caliber team such as Windstorm and keep it so incredibly close. But at the end of the day, they just didn't have enough gas left in the tank to propel them all the way through overtime. And I just have to say, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but just the counter adjustments from Windstorm were just so much stronger than Nemesis. And that's really, as the game went on, they just looked better and better and better. And overall, sure, Nemesis kind of took a couple of rounds really early, but then after that, they just kind of weren't able to do much with it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Now, Windstorm have moved up to second place. They still keep their record of only 1 loss. They are 5-1 now. And Nemesis, still fairly high. They're tied in 5th with Aggro. They're 3-2. So, sorry, I guess Windstorm are 4-1. Mixed it up. There's only 5 games in play. But yeah, still not bad whatsoever. Nemesis still in a very good spot going into this final game and likely going into tomorrow if they manage to win their next one. But I believe that actually was the last match of this round as it went on the longest. So we have the bracket going out right now. I don't know if we will go to a break. I imagine we might take a couple minutes to rest and chill, you know, choose what next game we're going to be streaming. But
yeah, unless you want to, we want to say our thought process live on broadcast?
I mean, we can't.
We could. I
mean, we could, but I don't think.
Project Neo, I don't want to cast them. Screw JJ, Spiker. I don't want to watch him.
That Woods kid on Aerial Arise is some hot ass. Like, I do not want to cast.
Oh, man.
I don't want to cast a dude whose screen name is just his last name. Like, how? I'm just kidding.
Hey, mine is a combination. You know, I got a little.
Yeah, yours is at least like a portmanteau.
Yeah, yours is like your middle name plus an X because you're edgy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're edgy.
Ooh.
Breaking news. Revenge Nation unfortunately has fully dropped out, and I think that just killed Carter.
I don't know why I thought that was so funny. That was really funny.
Unfortunately, I don't think Revenge Nation had won a game yet, so they're just kind of withdrawing out. So there's going to be a couple of teams picking up forfeit wins. They're on the lower half of the bracket, so it's not really overall going to have a big overall impact. But you know, I'll pour one out for CJ and Ump. You know, they're really good players, and I do enjoy watching them. Throw back to my old ESA days, but alas, they will not be joining at SCS. And we are actually going to send it over to a quick about 5-ish minute break while we make sure all of our ducks are in a row, our I's are dotted, and our T's are crossed. So make sure to stay tuned because we still have another game coming up.